Hey, Jake Widgeon here with Moog Music, and I'm at Kraft Music today to show you the Minimoog Voyager. For the best deals on Voyager and other Moog products, make sure you check out the bundles at Kraft Music. So today we're looking at the Voyager Electric Blue model. This is the one that is available with this gorgeous blue backlit panel and the black finish cabinet that also has some blue metal flake in it. Is what makes this one extra special. This is also available in a Performer edition that has the more traditional ash cabinet for people that like the old school wood tone Minimoog style Voyager. So, a brief history. The Minimoog Voyager is Bob Moog's modern incarnation of the Model D. This was the instrument that he designed and we released 10 years ago to be the modern, the updated version of a D. It brings all of that soul and tone of the 3-oscillator monosynth and adds a lot of modern updates that makes this instrument play really, really well in modern studios and on modern stages. And we'll break down the components just a little bit now and let you hear it. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of all the ingredients that go into a Minimoog Voyager. You've got 3 ultra-stable voltage-controlled oscillators as your tone source, fed into a really, really nice mixer right on board. Now, those will go into a dual filter. This has 2 Moog low-pass filters you can use in a couple ways. We can have a dual low-pass where they're spread out for a stereo image of our tone, or we can use them stacked as a low-pass, high-pass, so you get a cool bandpass filter. Envelopes for your filter and your volume, and a really extensive modulation section with 2 LFOs. So all of those parts and pieces give you an incredibly deep, incredibly lush instrument. And let's take a listen to it now. So what I'm going to let you do now is hear a really, really pure, unfiltered oscillator. We're going to listen to oscillator 1 on a square wave. It's a really, really nice, pure tone. You're hearing, fully analog linear sound waves that just have a soul and a richness you can't get in digital instruments. Now to thicken up that tone, we're going to add another oscillator. And even a third. So all 3 playing together give you a real live chorusing kind of phasing effect that sounds really, really gorgeous and lush. Now with the controls we have for each oscillator, I can detune and retune oscillator 2 and 3 in reference to 1. We can change their octaves really quickly with the octave foot setting. We can also fine-tune the frequency of oscillator 2 and oscillator 3 for some interesting effects. So oscillator 3, you can actually switch into a low frequency mode, so it's going to play subsonic frequencies, and that way you can actually use it as a third LFO, but taking advantage of the fully linear waveforms on your wave knob here. So here's oscillator 1 playing a really simple square wave. And I'm going to sweep the wave knob, and as we turn it, you're just going to hear a different timbre. Each different waveform has different harmonic content. And unlike the original Model D, which was notched and would give you, set wave patterns, this is fully variable. So we're hearing every tone in between each waveform as well. So that fully linear waveform change is available on all 3 oscillators, and because it's a function on the panel, it's something that can be modulated using your LFO. So you can get some really, really cool sounds that way too. So now we're going to take a look at the filter section. This is one of the most important parts of a Moog synthesizer. The Moog low-pass filter has a very, very famous rich tone, something very, very special it does with the sound of these oscillators. Without any filtering, we're hearing a lot of harmonic content, a lot of things coming through. The filter we're going to use in low-pass mode, and so we're going to hear the lows coming through, and as we adjust the cutoff, it's going to change the point at which we're turning down those frequencies. So at a certain point, it's cutting off all the frequencies of this note, so we've cut it down to silence. So it's a really, really broad and really, really lush filter. Now, we're going to go down and add some resonance. This is going to be a boost around the cutoff point of this frequency, and this is going to make things get really interesting. So that's a very familiar Moog sound. Once you add that resonance, it's got a lot of beef. It has a lot of really, really nice harmonic content, and it's a filter that really, really is highly sought after, not only for filtering your oscillators, but you've got an external audio in on the Voyager, so you can use this Moog ladder filter for drum tracks, other synthesizer sounds. Really anything you can think of will sound really, really rad played through this filter. I'm going to add some spacing, and what it's going to do now is split up the 2 filters at different cutoff points. They'll both track with the knob together, but they're slightly separated, and one's going to the left channel, one's going to the right. You can hear that one filter following behind the other one slightly behind. Gives a really, really huge stereo image to the Minimoog Voyager. So an envelope in a synthesizer will let you affect how your note is going to change and evolve over time as a key is held. There are 2 envelopes on the Minimoog Voyager, one for your volume, one for your filter. We'll start with volume. So this is controlling the amplifier behind the oscillator. Oscillators oscillate all day long. We don't hear them until the amp comes on. That's basically what happens when you press a key. So using our volume envelope, we can set the sustain level. That's going to be the level that the volume will sustain as we hold the key, but we can also set the attack for slower attack notes. If we have our sustain down and we only want to hear the front end of a note, we can adjust that with decay. That's fun for making staccato sounds. Or if you want your sound to sustain at 0, that's where you can do that. We'll crank this back up, and then by adding release time on our note, we can control how long we hear the note once we let go of a key, all the way up to very, very long release times. And now we're going to look at the filter envelope. This will let us affect what's happening to our filter cutoff over time. We heard that rich Moog filter before. It sounds even better when it's not static, when there's some motion to it. So this is where you can put that into your notes. We'll set the filter sustain level with the sustain knob. And we'll go ahead and put our cutoff where we'd like that sustain to be. And then now let's put a little decay time on it. There we go. So now every note I hit, the filter starts open and bright, decays and gets dark pretty quickly. We can slow it down. But that's just another way you've got direct access to that one particular facet of your tone, and that's kind of what's going on across the panel. We've got lots of knobs and switches so we can realize every sonic idea that we want to make happen on a patch. Minimoog Voyager has a really, really deep modulation section that also lets you change how your notes are going to evolve over time in a lot of different cool ways. The way you initiate the modulation for the first bus here is by bringing the wheel up. And we can make a lot of different things happen when you bring up this modulation wheel. So for starters, we've got a triangle wave as our source. Our destination is pitch, and we're going to hear that as a nice pitch vibrato. So that's a nice, cool musical vibrato. We can add more LFO amount to that wave that's changing our pitch. So we're gonna have a bigger swing in our pitch there. We can also send that sine wave to the filter cutoff. And then we've also got a few different wave shapes we can use. We can hear what it sounds like with a square wave. We also have random sample and hold, so it's going to take a sampling of random voltages, and we'll hear that as just a really cool stepped random sound. We can take that setting and send it to the waveform, so it's actually going to change the wave shape of the oscillators. And then there's a second LFO that's running here that you can bring in with the amount knob on the panel, so you can actually have two independent LFOs running to different destinations simultaneously. It's one of the many ways you can really create a lot of complex sounds, and they're so easy to get to. They're all up here right on the panel. So you grab a source wave, you send it to a destination, bring up the wheel and see what happens. It's a really, really fun way to explore synthesis. One definitely modern upgrade on the Minimoog Voyager that you wouldn't find on an old Model D is this cool XY touchpad that we have here. This is assignable to lots of different parameters on the keyboard, or it'll be normal to a certain parameter when you're on one of the presets. So I'm playing a preset here. So with one parameter assigned to the x-axis and one to the y, we can get some really cool motion effects going on. It can also be used as a surface area controller, where a small amount of surface covered up is sending a small voltage, and a big amount will send a big voltage. So you can interact with this in a lot of cool ways, and that's routable through the menu here. So, a basic principle to Moog synthesizers and a lot of analog synthesizers is voltage. That's the way, in an era pre-MIDI, that's the way the parts of this synthesizer are talking to each other, and it's the way you can interact with external gear. The Minimoog Voyager has several voltage inputs for lots of the parameters that you can control on the face. So that means for something that you want to be able to edit externally, you can use an expression pedal, you can use an ether wave theremin from Moog and use the antennas. And to expand the voltage capability of this, there's also an external box called the VX351 that will give you quite a number of voltage outputs as well as inputs that you can use to interact with other gear. You can also use it to bring those output voltages into other inputs on the Voyager and make new sounds that you couldn't make before. Another big update for the modern age that the Minimoog Voyager has is MIDI capability. It is a fully analog synthesizer. All the tones that we're hearing and the filter are completely analog, but we can control those functions digitally, and so that's how we're able to save the 800 plus presets that are in the unit. Also, you've got MIDI control over the Voyager and over all the knobs on the face, so you can interact with this in a number of different ways using digital devices as well as just playing the panel and playing the keyboard. There are a lot lot of accessories you're going to want to think about adding with your Voyager, the least of which would be a Moog expression pedal, so you can plug into these voltage inputs and make some fun changes. Also, a gooseneck lamp can connect right here on the back, give you that nice dorky, old school lamp vibe. Definitely want to look at a nice gig bag or hard case to go with this instrument to transport and protect it. Definitely check out the bundles from Kraft on those accessories and see which one fits you best, get you into the case and accessories that you need for this instrument. A lot of care and attention went into the design of the Minimoog Voyager and still goes into its production today. All Voyagers are in a solid wood cabinet. They've got the cool hinged panel just like on the Model Ds, and they're put together by hand very, very slowly and carefully at our factory in Asheville, North Carolina. These are made by hand with a lot of love. They spend a couple of hours in calibration and tuning, and every function of it is tested by hand and by ear before we ship. So there you have the Minimoog Voyager Electric Blue Edition, the flagship instrument of Moog Music. I'm Jake with Moog Music here at Kraft, and for the Minimoog Voyager and any other Moog products you're looking for, be sure to check out the bundles at Kraft Music.